Who were the 12 apostles? One supposed contradiction is who the 12 apostles were. We have four accounts, one in Matthew, one in Mark, one in Luke, and one in Acts. Matthew and Mark both report the same list. These names include Andrew, Bartholomew, James of Appalachia, James of Zebedee, John, Judas, Matthew, Philip, Simon the Zealot, Simon Peter or Cephas, Thaddeus, and Thomas. However, Luke reports a slightly different list. That is, Andrew, Bartholomew, James, James of Appalachia, John, Judas Iscariot, Judas of James, Matthew, Philip, Simon the Zealot, Simon/Peter, and Thomas. Below me is a diagram of these three lists. In Matthew and Mark, we see that there's two people named James, James of Zebedee and James of Appalachia. In Luke, we read James and James of Appalachia. A fair reading tells us that a blank James is just James of Zebedee, as the two other accounts use this title. Luke not adding one's father is not a contradiction, just not a detail that was decided not to be added. If I were to say on Wednesday I went on a walk and then danced yesterday, then on Thursday I said I went on a walk on Tuesday, I did not contradict myself. I merely neglected to mention I had danced. But in neither account do I say I only walked, so thus there would be no contradiction. A second contention is that Matthew and Mark say that there was an apostle named Thaddeus. However, Luke does not mention someone named Thaddeus. Instead, he mentions someone named Judas of James. Is this a contradiction? Well, not necessarily, for people in the Bible have many names. For example, we already went over Peter, who goes by Peter, Simon, and Cephas. Thaddeus may be his Roman name, while Judas is his Hebrew name. Many scholars indeed conclude this fact. For example, Mary Fairchild, who has a degree in general biblical studies. As she writes, Thaddeus, a surname for the name Levias, which means heart or courageous. The picture is confused further when he is called Judas. In our last list in the book of Acts, we only have 11 names. We are missing Judas Iscariot, for at this time, Judas had already killed himself in Matthew 27. Later in Acts 1, they begin deciding the next apostle who would take this place, that being the reason why we only have 11 names.